About your hometown and surrounding area. Tiger Talk is brought to you by...
And Tiger Talk brought to you this morning by Whistle Stop Donuts, Strain Beans Coffee House on Lower Main in Princeton, Hancock's Neighborhood Market, Commerce Street in Katie's delicious homemade goodness, and Perry's Floors and more.
Make the morning great with a stop at Whistle Stop Donuts on West Main Street in Princeton. Whistle Stop makes their donuts fresh daily, and they're ready on your way to work or school. They have a wide variety of fresh donuts, so you can surprise the office with a dozen delicious donuts. Stop by Whistle Stop today and enjoy a donut or a dozen. They're open 5 a.m. to noon Monday through Saturday. Whistle Stop Donuts on West Main in Princeton.
And a very good Wednesday morning at 8:06. It is Wednesday morning, and that means it is our extension program. And I have the pleasure of welcoming into WPKY our agent for Natural Resources and Agriculture, Shane BOGLE. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I did.
Good deal.
Good weather.
Very, very good weather for this time of year, and we were just talking, the forecast is a little bit unseasonably warm at this point.
It is, and that kind of has come at a good time for our farmers, Ty. As we're getting the harvest wrapped up for 2017, we are about 98% done in the county now. This week has really been a good week, but farmers was behind as of about middle of last week. They was considered way behind.
Right.
We'd had a lot of damp weather, not good days to run combines, but
things are drying up now.
Things are drying up, and we're getting stuff out of the field. So there is still equipment on the road, and farmers are going to be hauling, getting stuff to the port. You know, we have had a lot of barge issues with the river traffic this year that has really slowed harvest down, but we are on the downhill drag of it now, Ty. So there is still stuff going on, and we was just talking about, you know, I bet they'll be ready for that slowdown time. Well, not really a lot of slowdown time for a farmer these days. Mm-hmm. When they get that harvest done, they will be getting this equipment back in, servicing it, cleaning it up. A lot of them will be trading new equipment coming in through the winter months and preparing for spring. Preparation is half the battle, Ty, of getting a crop out, making the decisions that they have to make. And that's where Extension will fit in a lot this winter. We've got a lot of meetings coming up. We call, the planning meetings to help them make decisions. A lot of them will be buying their inputs and stuff next month, December, for the first of the year, making their decisions on seed. You know, our variety trials are all in, so folks was sitting at a coffee shop yesterday morning with variety trials, going through, picking out,
stuff.
You know, varieties for next year.
And and I don't want to put you on the spot here. We didn't talk about this off air. You were just kind of prepped, but we had a big meeting yesterday out of the
We
office,
did.
we?
Commissioner
Might as well
Quarles
touch on that.
had a forum at the Extension office yesterday. We had a great crowd. We had a local celebrity that joined us, Mr. Brian Lacefield, newly appointed by President Trump to the FSA. Head of FSA for Kentucky. He is in a process of moving to Lexington, so be leaving Hopkinsville. It was good to get to see him. We had a lot of discussion about Kentucky agriculture yesterday, Ty. The importance, the finances of what Western Kentucky means to Kentucky.
And it means a lot.
We carry it.
Yeah, we do.
Agriculture of Western Kentucky carries the state, and that is a good thing. That's a good thing. We're doing a good job. There is several issues that he mentioned. Working, on the legislative side of things that's going to hurt farmers in the coming year if some things don't change, and they're working diligent. And so yesterday was a forum just to get some more input toward those things and to let folks know what they are doing.
To our farmers out there listening that may not have been there, and besides writing your congressman or stuff like that, what are some of the things that farmers can do as this legislation comes along that they like, hey, this is going to hurt me? What are some of the options that they have to let their voice be heard?
Well, farmers have a big voice tied. A lot of people do not realize that, but Kentucky Farm Bureau is one of the main voices that we have. And each fall of year, they turn in what's called resolutions to Farm Bureau. Each local county turns in resolutions that they want mentioned, worked on the state level, state and federal level. But being at places, that's a big thing that I tell folks, being at places that these folks are at, where our legislators are.
Talk to them, too.
Talk to them. Get a personal one-on-one, first-name basis with your legislators where you can have those discussions. We're actually having a training tie for our Extension Council in January on how to properly communicate with our legislators. Farmers do a very good job of that. Number one, they're very outspoken. They're very passionate about what they do. And if that's done in the right way, they take notice, because the dollar value that comes from agriculture in Kentucky, Western Kentucky especially, they're going to listen. Mm-hmm. They're going to listen. They're going to take it into consideration. And there is a lot of changes, on the EPA, FDA level that's coming that will benefit things. Some common sense is what Commissioner Quarles called it, some common sense legislation. So that was what yesterday was about. We had a good crowd. Office was pretty much full out there, Ty, and a lot of good communication went on with that. So if you missed that, you missed him.
Yep, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have a little bit more information on some of the results out of that meeting and some of the other meetings that have been held statewide. But tell us what you got going on. Well,
one of those things that we're talking about, legalities and legislation, one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about, it's the time of year that we do our private applicator certifications. And that's for folks that buy chemicals that's going to spray around their yard. And I thought I would just visit just a few minutes on who needs pesticide certification. Right. There's a lot of confusion about that, and the Kentucky Department of Agriculture is the regulatory side of the chemical that we use in Kentucky, and Extension is the education side. So KDA wants to make sure that everyone that's using pesticides on the farm, or not just on the farm, but in rural settings, are properly certified and licensed. So what does it mean to be an applicator? It's more than just a person running one of these big sprayers down the road, Ty, or that's doing a pump up sprayer in their backyard.
It could just be the one pump deal.
That's exactly right. A $20 pump sprayer plastic pump sprayer at Walmart. But the person that defines the applicator is they are handling a product. They are taking a chemical, they're mixing it, putting it in equipment to apply to a pest, to a problem. And this makes sense. The handling of pesticide concentrate has a high potential for negative exposure.
Right.
Not all chemicals are created equal.
Bad juju.
It can be bad juju if we don't know what we're doing.
Properly.
That is correct. So any person making an application of any restricted use pesticide, including the person that's handling the product and mixing the pesticide, must be a certified private applicator. And there are two types of certification in the state. We do get a lot of calls, Ty, about this time of year on that. We have what's called a private applicator, and it's a person certified to use any pesticide for producing a commodity on their land or land that they rent. And it also applies to applications made on, like a friend or a neighbor, you're helping somebody out.
Right.
So private applicators may apply for treatments on their property, and they make the applications for neighbors as long as they're not doing it for a fee, for a service. Right. You're being neighborly, you're trading out, so you're not doing it commercially.
Gotcha.
The second level is a commercial applicator, and this is defined as any person who engages in a business of applying restricted use or general use pesticides, and that's a fine line there. You know, if you're working for somebody, that's a business. If it's the housing authority in town, if it's a lawn care service, they're doing that, need to be a commercial applicator. And the levels of certification there is a lot different, Ty. Commercial applicators, they have to go through a testing process, recertification hours each year. They got to get 9 continuing education credits to keep that, and it's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah,
it's a lot of information, but the goal of that is to make sure that we're not over applying pesticides, that we're mixing those correctly, keeping our environment and the person safe.
Sure. Now, these are the type of chemicals? Are these people that get licensed for whether they're private or commercial, are they the only people that can purchase these pesticides?
They are.
Yeah,
that is true. So if you go, you can't show up and get what we call a restricted use pesticide. Is a pesticide that's been identified as potentially harmful to the environment or the applicator.
Right.
Now, Ty, there's absolutely no correlation, no proven scientific correlation between Roundup and cancer.
Right.
That it's science. Roundup is a general use pesticide. Anybody can go
you
purchase
just
that
go pull it right off the shelf.
because it's mainly salts. It's a mixture that is very safe for the handler and safe for the environment. However, we get into certain insecticides, like Warrior, for instance. That stuff can peel paint off the wall. So, just an example. And a lot of times when we smell a chemical, there's a reason it smells that way. It's kind of a warning dangerous. Why natural gas, they add odorant to a natural gas. Otherwise, you would not smell it.
Exactly.
And you're gonna die from the fumes of it. So they put the odor to it. It's the same with chemicals. Sometimes the stouter the smell, hey,
warning.
I'm driving down the road and I smell something.
Yeah.
That lets you know that that's probably a restricted use pesticide. But that having that certification there and knowing the difference between them, so Joe off the street can't go to chemical supply place and buy Warrior.
Yeah.
It has to be a certified private applicator that understands, hey, I need to be careful how I'm mixing this. I need proper gloves and goggles and spray suits to be able to handle that safely.
Gotcha.
So the Extension Service locally here does the private. And on the 19th of December at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we will have our first certified private applicator training at the Extension office. First one of the season. I have about 6. So that's anybody, Ty, that's doing this on home or a farmer that's doing it for themselves. Right. So the backyard gardener with 10 fruit trees, the landscape guru.
We need something a little bit extra for
every now and then we need something extra. So and that's also, if we're spraying that, if we're buying off the shelf and we're applying that, say Roundup, for instance, also need to be a certified applicator by federal law.
Really?
If we're applying that, the only problem is it's not as traceable or trackable as a restricted use. So when you go purchase that Warrior restricted use, the EPA registration number, they know it.
Yeah.
And your name is associated with what you bought. Roundup's not quite the same because it's safer, number one. But I highly recommend folks that are even doing that, come get this certification where you know proper handling.
It's good to educate yourself.
It's good education. It doesn't take a long time. It's information we get out. Those are good for 3 years on that certification. But I had like 3 calls yesterday. People's like, hey, mine ends December the 30th of this year. I need it. I'm pre-buying my stuff. I'm going to need it by January 1. So we're going to have this first training there at the office, 1 o'clock on the 19th, private pesticide applicator training. You can come out there and get that certification in a couple of hours and be good to go.
It's a one-day deal.
It's just a one-time deal.
Wow.
Come back in 3 years and do it again. Now, we mentioned on the restricted side, on the commercial side, you go take a test, pay for it, and then you go to certain credit hours throughout the year's time too. And this time of year, dealers our pesticide dealers are going to places, going to meetings to get those recertification hours.
Right.
So Extension 100% administers that private, and then Kentucky Department of Ag has testing centers around. We can get you the schedule if anybody thinks they may need that. We can get you that tested material. UK is the one that develops all the training material.
Right.
But they do the tests.
And this is for the commercial.
This is for the commercial, yes.
Yeah. Well, awesome. That's great. And if you're listening out there and you have any questions, writing down your card, 365-2787. Shane will be glad to get you up to date. But then that December 19th at 1 o'clock for the private applicator training.
That's right. And that'll be in the paper. We'll have that on your calendar coming in.
On it too, yes.
Well, and that kind of leads into a very good topic that's going on, and we was just talking about it right before we come on, that you was still killing some wasp.
Yeah.
Sweet.
This warm, and there's still wasps.
So we are having some warm weather, but our insect population kind of knows that something's up.
Yeah.
There's reason that they might be a little testier, the wasp might be a little testier right now than he is in the summertime, but we have this time of year what we call accidental invaders of our home.
Okay.
Now, we're not talking about a guy with a handkerchief over his head coming in to take your tooth fairy money.
Stuff that we don't want.
We're talking about winter is an inhospitable season for cold-blooded arthropods that survive. A lot of our insects do overwinter in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
So we mostly accomplish this in a out of sight, out of mind fashion. Well, I'm not seeing it. That's
not there.
Necessarily is not there. But unfortunately, several species of these accidental invaders come in our homes as the weather cools.
Yep.
And while they come in for distinctly different reasons, they're not coming in to tick you off. They're not coming in to say, I'm going to make Ty's life miserable today. But the daylight has changed. It's got them kind of thrown off, and they unwilling landlords may not see their freeloading tenants until it's a little too late.
A little too late.
And I have had several calls in the last couple of weeks that kind of got me thinking about this topic this morning. And the only bad part is there's really no magic solution to say, okay, I'm not letting that happen this year, but there are some things that you can do to aid in that. Insects moving to shelters are attracted by contrasting light and dark areas. So white window panes on a brick house, columns, vertical surfaces. Large numbers will accumulate on the sunny south and west side of walls and houses and buildings where they may be. That's a good thing for us. If they're congregating there, we can spray the outside of homes and kind of take care of what we're seeing, like the ladybug invasion.
Yeah. I mean, those things.
Sometimes I've seen millions on the side of a building or something. So the number one thing is exclusion. The best tactic is sealing any obvious openings as possibly practical. And that's just common sense. If an insect can get in, so can cold air.
Sometimes you just look up there and you think it's all tight, but they're just in there.
That's right.
And
in
that's
spite
amazing.
of best efforts, persistent individuals, they're going to find a way in.
Yeah.
And we do have a nice publication, Ty, on how to pest-proof your home.
Okay.
Some things to look for, some things that you can do that will help with that. One of the calls that I had this week was, what can I spray inside my house? I do not recommend spraying a pesticide inside your home.
Right.
Too many things. We've got children, we've got pets.
Yeah.
It's a enclosed environment, and things act differently when they're not exposed to sunlight and rainfall. So the best way to get these out of your home is to collect them and discard them, and a vacuum cleaner is the best.
Oh, yeah. Get the old shop vac out here.
Get the shop vac. Get something that you don't really care about, and you might not want to get your.
Sounds fun.
You might not want to get your wife's brand new Kirby vacuum cleaner, but
the rainbow.
Outdoor temperatures consistently remain below 50 degrees. The influx will slow down. So we're still having these ups and downs. They're still moving. Yeah, they're still moving. So they will greatly reduce after that temperature stays below 50. But vacuum those up. We leave one vacuum setting out on the porch, so we get ladybugs and stuff in it because they do stink.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they smell bad.
Yeah, they do.
Just set it outside. They're going to die in there or let them loose outside, but I'm not letting them loose outside. They're going to stay right where they're at. And then when more are in, bring it back in, vacuum, and remove that. So, again, avoid insecticides indoors. The temptation to spray and use these foggers and insect foggers have significant limitations and do pose risk.
Yeah.
It's that residue hangs around a lot longer than it's going to in an outside environment. So we do have a nice publication, Ty, on the limitations of home insect foggers. And we'll break down the reasons and some of the scientific reasons why it's better not to do that.
Okay.
So in addition to potential exposure problems, indoor accumulations of dead insects can result in carpet beetles and other scavengers coming for what you killed.
Yeah, and that's I was just going to mention that. It seems like just like I think these wasps are after those ladybugs. And
very possible. That's right up their alley. An easy meal, something they can grab and put in.
So it just happens that there we go. We got one, then we get another, and then it just builds.
I thought I'd mention some of the things, Ty, that we are seeing, and I haven't heard about it around here a lot, but we are having Kentucky's getting a major influx of what's called the brown marmorated stink bug. And this guy is going to be a problem. Their numbers are increasing yearly, but this is going to be an inside invader. But I said it's stink bug.
Yeah.
Not a good combination.
Have we had them before? Or is it just
We've had regular stink bugs, but this is kind of a new thing that's moving, and we are seeing it in crop deals. Okay. But the results, stink bugs shudder that they contrast strongly with a brick wall, so they kind of like it. They like to get behind the void of a wall. Okay. And when you're going to deal with them, they're going to stink awful bad. And we're not talking about 10 or 12. We're talking about buckets full.
Really? That
can potentially invade. Of course, our multicolored Asian lady beetle. Yeah. That's one of our more common ones. Box elder bug. You know what a box elder bug is?
I don't know. Let me see a picture.
Well, you can't. It's small on this picture here.
I do not know what it is.
Well, we get a lot of this is a fairly common bug. Box elder tree, maple trees. They're kind of attracted to that. They get in the home quite often. They like to be in the voids of walls and behinds where they overwinter. But they also can look a little bit like another bug that causes some trouble, the kissing bug.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, that takes me to that when, of course, you see these Facebook posts. Oh, my goodness,
Yes.
This thing, it's feces and then Legionnaire's disease. And I'm sure that's the truth.
But it is.
And I've seen a few of those things.
I have too. I was actually one of the first ones to find one in this area several years ago. I live in the woods, Ty.
I did too. Yeah.
We got animals, coons
but
that are out there. They are out there, and they can be misidentified. The box elder bug.
Yeah, they're similar looking.
They are very similar looking. So most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be dealing with the box elder bug instead of the kissing bug. But if you're in doubt, that's what the extension office is there for.
Right.
You can bring those out for identification.
And there's really, just the bug around. It's not going to. It has to do with their feces, and so pretty much.
Well, they can feed too.
Yeah. They say they go for the CO2. I guess
yes,
when you exhale.
that's exactly right. Another one of the common ones, Ty. We'll kind of end with this. Of course, we get the flies. The great big old flies that crazy flies is what my kids call them that they're flying. But another one is ground beetles that are common in turf and around foundations find their way in. This is the most common one, Ty, that I probably get a call because. A beetle, it's just, oh my gosh, it shouldn't be, a ladybug.
Right.
There's been enough education, I guess, over the years and enough numbers of them that, hey, it's a ladybug. It's no big deal.
Right.
We'll take care of it. But when they get ground beetles, they think there's an infestation or something's really wrong.
Right.
They really do not have a desire to be in your home. It's an accident. That's why we call them the accidental invaders, and you just kind of deal with them for a short period of time and you move on.
Right.
Suck them up with a vacuum cleaner, get them out. And wait till
that's the best way.
Wait till the season changes.
Awesome. And you have publications out.
Yes, we have, of course, Pest Proofing Your Home.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the limitations of using insecticides indoors. That one is also a good one. Just if you have to see something in front of your face, when I'm telling you don't spray in your home, well, why? That'll explain why.
And it sort of it makes sense, And I'm more of a I don't like chemicals at all. I know there are some that are just necessary, but that's just something you don't want to just be fogging and breathing that stuff and letting that residue. There's a reason why they say clear out of there for a good while and get your glasses and saucers and plates up and that kind of stuff.
And the Extension Service can help identify. We're talking about accidental invaders here too. We do have colonization occasionally with ants and things that are not accidental invaders. That's their MO. That it's just times to call a certified pest control company.
That's right.
That's what they're there for. They're certified. They can get the chemicals that are safer. Most of the chemicals that they come in contact with, we can't even buy. We don't even know they exist because they're only available to that certain those kind of companies.
Well, all right, man. Great information as usual, and certainly appreciate everything you all do, your staff. We were talking about just what a wonderful resource our extension office is, and folks, all this stuff is basically studied. These publications by folks that are pretty
research.
Smart. Yeah. And so, if you have a question, Shane would be glad to answer it. We've got agents out there that are ready, willing, and able, very knowledgeable to help you in whatever situation that you have at our extension office. And we appreciate you guys.
Yep, University of Kentucky is not just basketball.
That's exactly right. 365-2787. If you have any questions about this, want to talk to Shane about anything, he'll be glad to help you out. Shane, appreciate it, man. It's a great extension show, and we thank you on Wednesdays for coming in. Have a great day.
Thanks for the welcome.
All right. That is Shane Bogle. He is our agent for agriculture and natural resources out at the UK Extension Office located at US 62 West here in Princeton. If you need those folks out there, 365-2787 is the number to call, and they'll be glad to help you out. Thanks for joining us on Tiger Talk today. It is 8:29.
String Beans Coffee House in downtown Princeton specializes in made-to-order espresso drinks. Stop by Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to noon and enjoy a pick-me-up.